What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Baltmatrix here, and today we are taking a look at the much anticipated striker Manus from my good friends over at MakeToys. I picked this figure up at BigBadToyStore.com, and I was lucky enough to get in the first wave of releases for the guy. And I've got to admit, MakeToys has done a really good job here. Really, really good job. As you can see, I have him posed in my favorite pose, and this is kind of the pose he has on the back of the box, that is. And it's really good. The figure is really, really good. From foot to head, the figure is modeled very nicely and has plenty of nice paint apps and is modeling kind of the classics version of Optimus Prime. In the chest there, you see an outline for a matrix. The only complaint I would really even think to levy against this figure are two things. One, I would prefer this not be clear, but rather be a painted chest piece. And two, his apparent lack of heels. More on that in a minute. The head sculpt of the figure is phenomenal and works incredibly well. If you haven't guessed, I'm rather smitten with the design of the head sculpt. It's pretty much perfect in my eyes. Even from the back, the figure looks incredibly well detailed and well molded. They did a really good job designing this figure. The figure comes with 3 accessories, the first of which is this blaster cannon, which is used in robot mode, as you saw when I started the video, and then it transforms into his wind spoiler in vehicle mode. The figure then also comes with these double axes, which are stored on the side of his shoulders in robot mode and become the smokestacks in vehicle mode, but also can combine into this interesting double-bladed axe weapon. I'm not sure what this would be called, actually. Manus possesses incredibly good poseability. Head is on a ball joint. You have full range of motion in the shoulders thanks to a ball joint and a hinge. Then there's a double elbow, which allows very good articulation. Fists rotate. There is a swivel at the upper arm. Hands do open and close, and thankfully the front fingers, or the trigger fingers, are on their own joint. Torso-wise, there is torso articulation. A set of nice tight swivels and hinges form the hips. There is a swivel at the upper thigh, well over a 90-degree bend at the knee, and some nice foot articulation. The only complaint I can levy in the articulation department is the fact that he lacks any real heels. Now, I'm not entirely sure I have the figure transformed correctly, because it looks like this part where the wheels are right now are supposed to be flush, but they aren't. So they kind of stick up like that. I'm guessing that the heels are supposed to be the wheels, but they don't work so well as heels. And the articulation points on the ankles are a little bit odd because they seem to be a little bit off-center because of the way the figure transforms. Not a massive deal, but it is something to be aware of. A quick look showing you the storage of the axes on the shoulders. However, I've not found a good way to store the main gun. You can flip this section down on the back and kind of store it as a backpack or on the back like this, but it doesn't link in or plug in anywhere on the back that I found that's really, really solid. There are peg holes here on the sides of these sections here on the back, but they get in, well, I should say, they don't get in the way. The shoulders get in the way. I have to give the designers at MakeToys some real credit. They've taken Optimus's classic transformation and really added some nice twists to it. To start off with, we're going to come to the fists and open up the bottom of the forearms and flip the fists up into those forearms. This is actually a little bit tricky because you do want to get the fists in there correctly, and it gets a little ugly if you don't. Plus, the fists have a tendency to flip and flop about sometimes. Okay, so now that the fists are taken care of, we will move down to the legs. And we start off with by taking the toes and actually opening them up all the way, folding the toes away from the figure, and then flipping the feet sections all the way down like this. And then the toes and the feet will curl back and snap into these little grooves that are just above the tires. And then they will rest in place. And it's actually very, very difficult to get these snapped into place because of the amount of force that's required, and it requires just the same amount of force to get them out of these pegs as well. Next, come to the back of the figure and push on the knees, and they will unclip from the body of, or the rest of the leg, and then the leg will slide down into sections just below this hidden wheel. So we have to kind of unpeg it, and then slide it down, or I should say hinge it down and snap it into place. And then we can bring the legs together through the clip here in between the thighs and at the bottom of the feet. Now that we've got the figure like this, we are going to come to the back, flip down this grill section. That will allow us to flip up the entire top of the torso and just kind of get it flipped up and away like that on that secondary hinge. And then take the upper torso and turn it 180 degrees, like so. For the next bit of the transformation, take the bottom of the legs and flip them up, and they will rest nicely into the grill section of the robot mode, like that. Then these wheels that are exposed now, we can then unpeg them and fold them down into place on these hinges, where my finger is. Now that the front wheels are exposed, we can then take the head, flip it all the way around into the body, like that. And with the head flipped around, we can then peg the piece of plastic that the head is on into the front of the robot crotch, like that. With the head hidden away, we can then unpeg the shoulders from the body, and with the shoulders folding back to the back of the body, and then they will fold down. When you do that, you can then unpeg the section above the elbow, fold the shoulders down, and get everything lined up into place. So folding these shoulders down, which is actually really hard because those ball joints are tight. Get the arms into place, and the flap that covered the fists, you actually want to uncover it, and then that will fold in the back and peg into this section here, like that. And then you see that little clip. This little clip right here, where my finger is, will peg into the knees, and then these peg holes on the back of the shoulders will peg into those peg holes behind where the head was. So getting everything lined up and snapping everything into place is actually quite difficult, but with a little bit of practice, you'll get it. And then, finally, once everything's pegged in, which obviously it doesn't look like there, you flip this section that was on the forearm back, flip it up, and snap it into the side on the cabin. And then we could take this section that was back along the side of the legs, unpeg it, and then this will peg into that little clip back there, like so, hiding everything nicely. And then we'll just do the same thing on the other side. To finish up the transformation, we will come to the cannon. First, take the front barrel of the cannon, flip it up into the barrel, and then slide the barrel back into the body of the cannon. Once we have the barrel pushed in, we will then open up the red section in the back, flip the barrel down, and then that handle will collapse into the barrel while the red sections open up, and whoops. And then we turn the whole unit upside down, and then we have the windscreen, or the wind spoiler, I guess. And that will drop straight down, fitting between the two axes, and peg into the top of the vehicle mode. And here we go. Striker Manus' vehicle mode is definitely interesting. It's not aerodynamically sober, that's for sure. Or good, I should say. It does roll fine, but it's really noisy when it rolls because things are rubbing up against each other, specifically these wheels that my thumb is on back here. But overall, it works, and I think it works well. One thing I have noticed is there are these little peg holes on the back inside of the legs, and it's really hard to see, but they're there. So that makes me wonder if we're going to get some kind of trailer at some point. Overall, though, the vehicle mode is definitely unique and interesting, so I do appreciate that. And it's not that hard of a transformation. Is a little bit annoying in some spots, but overall, not too bad. The effect, though, is definitely cool, and I'm really glad MakeToys kind of took some artistic license with the vehicle mode. It works well, if not a little bit weird. Striker Manus is easily one of the best third-party figures released in 2016. There's very, very, very little that I can even think to complain about. It's got a fantastic sculpt, the transformation is fun, the vehicle mode is interesting, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what else MakeToys has for us this year. Guys, if you can pick this figure up, I strongly recommend that you do. Thank you for watching this video review. As always, I am Baltmatrix. Ask you to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will catch you next time.